Welcome back to another episode of In Swine Versation, passing the torch, navigating succession and family farming. In this episode, we dive into the story of Mogler Farms, a family-owned pork production enterprise as they navigate the crucial process of succession planning. Today, we hear from Dwight Mogler and the next generation, Chet and Janae, as they share their insights, challenges, and aspirations for the future of their farm. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Really interesting topic today. I know, Dwight, we've done some podcasts together, and some of the things that have come up was, succession planning, which we're going to get into today. But number one, Dwight, some of the journey and lessons that you've learned from your extensive experience as an independent pork producer, what pivotal experiences or lessons have shaped your approach to succession planning?
Well, I would say the most important thing that a family needs to do is bring clarity around roles so that people know what their lanes are, but yet at the same time create a culture of teamwork as well. And so it's just bringing some definition and clarity to the framework.
So when you talk about like clarity, is it something that has to be discussed then?
Yeah, without a doubt, it's consensus, and you kind of leverage people's strengths. Obviously, people tend to gravitate towards where their strengths are, and recognizing that we complement each other and allowing people to gravitate towards those things they enjoy and they're better at.
So when we look at transitions and strategies for smooth transitions, when has this been at top of mind for a while, or you've been implementing some changes over the last few years, Dwight?
I'd say it's been something we've embraced for quite a number of years. At the end of the day, there's the ownership piece, but much more importantly is the leadership piece and how you're going to develop young leaders to basically transition from being being mentored by the older generation to where they're given rein, and so to speak, we kind of, as the older ones, step out of the way.
Any specific strategies, Dwight, on some of the implementation and how you've approached this?
Yeah, we've used outside parties. So at the end of the day, we recognize we don't have the answers without consulting third parties, and sometimes that's our veterinarians, the nutritionists, lenders. But on a more formal basis, we do have an outside consultant that helps us work on the business, not in the business. And so, if you will, the soft skills, the framework, the management and accountability structure, independent of the technical skills. And that we have found to be quite critical. A system that we use, we call EOS, and it's not something we've created, it's something we've adopted, entrepreneurial operating systems.
So let's meet Chet and Janae. Chet, maybe we'll get a brief introduction from you, your role at Mogler Farms.
Yeah, so Chet Mogler, Dwight's uncle to me, and so we are a diversified family farm, have beef feedlots, run a grain elevator, have some row crops, and so my dad was actually primarily beef feedlot operator when I was growing up, but dabbled and helped a little bit of everywhere on the farm, and pigs kind of looked like the natural progression of opportunity as it came back, and I really enjoyed the diversity of animal science and the mechanics of facility management and the relationships with people and contract growers and herdsmen and all those different roles that pigs bring. So Dwight and I have been teaming up on the pigs for at least the last 10 years, and kind of pass roles as we naturally progress or grow or whatever.
And you, Janae?
Yeah, I'm Janae, and I'm actually daughter to Dwight. So I've been in the pig space since I was little, going up to the South Farm helping him. And I graduated from South Dakota State and had an opportunity to work for another family farm for a few months. And then Chet hired me back in 2015 to help start up a sow farm here, a new farm that we had built. And so that's when I got the opportunity to return to the family business. And since then, my role has just evolved more into HR and overall kind of operations, especially on the swine side, but I get involved in all areas a little bit too.
So we got some more questions, but I wanted to throw this in there. So Dwight, Janae, and Chet. So Dwight, what do you see for the attributes for these two people of what makes them a success and diversification for skill set at Mogler? So what sets them apart? Because everybody has a unique skill set. What are they going to shine in?
Yep. I think one thing we do is really try to understand not only ourselves, but all team members, our natural inclinations. We use DISC assessment, and I would say that Janae and Chet complement each other quite well. Chet's definitely more of a D on the DISC assessment, meaning he's got a lot of energy and he likes to focus. Janae, she would be more towards the I and would be more sensitive towards people's needs and wanting to, develop that workplace culture that everybody really enjoys being a part of. And so these two complement each other very well in my estimation. But yet at the same time, we all can fall into that C category, and really the critical thinking skills and analysis that really is a part of managing any business.
So Janae, with the ethos at Mogler Farms, what do you find most inspiring or influential as you prepare to step into a leadership role within the company?
I kind of honestly feel like I've had to do a lot of self-assessment and self-learning to be a quality leader. I think that requires a skill set that isn't always taught, but is learned through time and experience. And so I've taken upon myself to do a lot of personal development, both from an intellectual standpoint and an emotional standpoint, because I believe it takes both IQ and EQ to be a successful leader. So there's always development, or I feel like I'm always trying to seek that and then also bring that to the team so that it's not just something that I do, but allow those resources and opportunities for others.
What about you, Chet?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had a culture on the farm of continuous education, whether that's, going out to meetings or different trainings. And then we also kind of have a culture of working with third-party consultants. And so getting to access professional information that we might not be able to rub shoulders with every day through collaboration. A lot of us have gone through the TPAP program, which is the executive program for ag professionals put on by Texas A&M. It's a couple courses. You can do a program 1 and program 2. They're each a week long. But those are great peer group trainings. We're in a peer group ourselves that we travel to other people's farms. So we really don't have to, there's not a lot of reinventing the wheel that we have to do. It's more or less professionalizing. So I mean, the first farm meetings took place on the gravel road when 2 pickups, would meet up and roll their windows down, and that worked when the farm was that size. But it's adding the professional layer and continuing those communication lines as we've grown, as we have different areas, as we've brought a lot of non-family member expertise into the business, and joining their talents and expertise in as well. And so yeah, it's just understanding each other and all of us having a drive to continue to get better every day.
So it brings us to balancing tradition and innovation. So Dwight, how do you balance the preservation of Mogler Farms heritage and the values with the necessity for innovation and adaptation and the ever-evolving industry? I know Chet and Janae touched on that a little bit, but
yeah. So without a doubt, the most important part of a legacy farm is really those foundational core values that really are part of the fabric of the family. And that's really the glue that holds everybody together. And so just, honesty and integrity, just a certain level of optimism, and embracing the continuous improvement process, but yet having the respect for a creator, and our obligation of being stewards of the resources that we've been blessed with. And so those are really, just foundational to everything we do. And then understanding that if you're going to have a business, you can't let family get in the way of the business acumen that you need to continue to evolve and develop, because obviously the business environment in the global marketplace, it never stops changing. And so you need to continue to embrace change and adapt and to pivot, but yet stay grounded on those foundational values.
So I find in any industry, especially farming, there's challenges and opportunities. So let's start with Janie. What do you perceive as the biggest challenge ahead and the biggest opportunity for Mogler Farms?
Well, that's a good question. I do feel that this might be biased, but just based on the experience we've had in the last few years, like financially, that is a very big challenge ahead of us. It's a doable challenge, but it's certainly something front and center for us to work on. Just the cost of transition, whether that be personnel and replacing somebody in their skill set, and or just the financial cost to transition is both. I mean, we're facing that, and it's very real for us today. So I'd say that's a true challenge for us. But the opportunity that presents is allowing others, family or non-family, to fulfill that role. So I see that both in technology advancement and embracement. So just different things that we'll implement here in our business, as well as just giving someone else the opportunity to shine and use their talents. That's how I see those challenges and opportunities. Chet, you could probably speak to it as well.
Yeah, I think it's just like Janae said, understanding everybody's different roles and talents, and then communication really is key to it. And so we've Dwight had mentioned we have some different business infrastructures that we are, or I should say philosophies that we've applied into our business. I'll maybe just run through those quick. One of them is the 4 disciplines of execution by Chris McChesney, Sean Covey, and Jim Huling. And that has given us kind of helped us in goal writing and focus and delivering scoreboards to our teams and helping them having a level of accountability. And then the book Traction, which talks about the EOS infrastructure, that's given us the management, of working on the business. And so setting aside specific time to have high level meetings that people feel that it was important to be there, and then having quarterly meetings where the management team gets together and brainstorms and solves some of those big challenges we have. And then back to the core values, Patrick Lencioni's 5 Dysfunctions of a Team book, and I guess his pyramid of trust, or and those things are what keeps a family together. And sometimes that means being brutally honest with each other and being vulnerable with each other, but yet going home at the end of the day and not having a chip on your shoulder because of something that was said, and just saying, well, I needed to hear that, and staying humble and realizing what where your talents are and where other people's talents are, and everybody working together for the same goals.
Well said, Chet. What about insights for the succession journey, Dwight? So do you have any insights from your own succession planning that might resonate with other family-owned agriculture businesses navigating through similar transitions?
Well, we've had a little bit of the luxury of going through growth, which has allowed those of us, the older generation, to, work on projects and have our attention and our energies focused outside of day-to-day operations. And so that really has allowed us to get out of the way, so to speak. And I think quite often, the best of intentions to turn responsibility over the next generation a lot of times gets prolonged or delayed just simply because what am I going to do with my time if I give up my responsibilities? And so that's been very key, that we've had diversions for our attention and our energy, and growth is what has allowed us to do that.
So what about sustainability and the environmental impact? I'm going to get everybody to weigh in on this. We'll start with Chet. So with increasing concerns about sustainability and the environmental impact in agriculture, how does Mogler plan to continue to have sustainable practices while maintaining profitability? And what innovative approaches do you envision for addressing the challenges?
So I would say first and foremost, acknowledging our already existing culture of sustainability. Janae and I would be fourth generation. Our great grandfather would have started farming in this area. And so you don't do that without being sustainable. And so that heritage is there. It's the problem we have a little bit is it's not our nature to brag about things. And so but maybe telling our story in a proper light, and then just doing it with intelligence, knowing which doing your homework before you implement things. But we've always had a culture of sustainability. But sustainability metric number one still has to be profitability. We are in a business, and so it does have to be profitable, what we need to do, or there's no sense in doing it.
Janae?
Well, and I'd say we really embraced technology and the evolution thereof, and we ourselves, as we implement different practices or programs, whatever that may be, whether it's at the field level or from an administration standpoint, we're willing to pivot as that technology changes as well. And that's really helped, I think, help us be sustainable financially, as well as just best practice and from a cost of production standpoint in the production field.
And you, Dwight?
Well, yeah, I think they both really hit on something that's key, is that we've kind of rebranded a lot of the efforts. So it used to be conservation. We now call, being good environmentalists, right? When we talk about conserving our natural resources. But I think sustainability, others are interested. In fact, potentially, with the emerging carbon economy, actually, we can potentially monetize some of the things we're doing. Now, that's still a little bit out there, right, of how that's actually going to bring a benefit. But at the end of the day, the full life cycle analysis of animal agriculture, we've been blessed, obviously, with deep, fertile soils, and we've got the climate patterns. We've got every interest to preserve and to improve upon the resources that we have. And those resources are not only natural resources, it's also the human resources, the broader community, the schools, the churches, everything that brings value to who we are as a people. And so that really is key to what drives us and why we want to continue to have this legacy family business that continues for the next generation.
As we wrap up, what's next? Anybody can chime in here. What can we expect from Mogler?
Well, being in the pig business, I think everybody knows the pain the pig business has gone through the last few years. And so, but I would say it's been a great lesson for us. We've honed our focus, and because when we weren't growing through that time, and we were just buttoning down the hatches to survive. And so there were a lot of areas we got a lot better in. And so that's been a good experience, learning from those challenges.
Yeah, I'd say we're going to continue building upon the foundation that we spoke of here in the last several minutes. And I think that's where our future is and will continue to be as we evolve from generation to generation, as well as in different roles and new people come in. The foundation that's been laid, and I go back to my grandfather who started that, it didn't come from us. it has really set us up for an opportunity to successfully transition. So
And I think we'll just the continual evolution of from being a quote farm or commodity producer to really having a deep understanding of how crucial what we do as the raw material supplier to the food chain, and not only understanding that, but being collaborative throughout the entire chain of creating more value and hopefully sharing in the value that we create and bringing that back to the rural communities in which we live. And so perhaps different business models or different models on how we would position ourselves further down the value chain is where I'm going to perhaps focus quite a bit of my energy in kind of the waning years of my career.
Well, you've got a humble, innovative, and motivated team. Dwight, Chet, and Janae Mogler, thanks for joining us today.
Been a
Thank
pleasure,
you.
Jim.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jim.